Hey, what's going on, comics people? This is Derek Crabb, History of Comics on Film, Blogspot. You can see it at,
Adam Man
www.hocof.blogspot.com.
vs. Superman is a 15-chapter
I also have
film
a
serial
channel
from
on
Columbia
YouTube
Pictures that
that redirects to Book
Backed by
TV now.
popular demand, Adam Man vs.
So
Superman
yeah,
is the
so
superior follow-up
this is
to
Adam
the
Man
1948
versus Superman,
serial.
which is a pretty cool
Superman,
sequel.
along with Lois, Jimmy, and Perry, were all back and played by the same
Now,
actors from the previous installment.
I'd seen the
Again,
serial
the title
before. I
and
had it
story
in
were
my
adapted
DVD
from
collection
the
for a
Adventures of
long
Superman
time,
radio
and I
series
had seen it.
episodes that were
But
broadcast from
while I
October
was
to
doing
December
research
in
for this, I
1945.
actually
The Adam Man
was
from the
able
radio
to
series is
listen to
kinda
a lot
like
of the
Davis
old
Bloom from Smallville, only
radio
he's secretly
series.
a Nazi spy. He was given
And
atomic
so
powers, much
I
like
started
the
listening to
portrayal
the
of
Adventures of
Nuclear Man
Superman
from
and stuff.
Superman 4
And on
was
there,
for
they
peace.
they had
Instead
Adam
of
Man
nails that
versus
could pierce his
Superman, which is
skin, the
basically
Adam Man had
he was kind of like
kryptonite-powered
a Nazi
gauntlets. I
spy
can
who
only
came
imagine
in
this
kind of
storyline was
unassumingly,
as
and he worked at
popular
the
as the
Daily Planet
anticipated
and
Death
everything.
of
So
Superman
it's funny.
storyline
It
that
kind of
began
it reminds me a lot of
Adam
Davis
Man's
Bloom in
kryptonite
that way,
gauntlets
where
also
he's like,
remind me of the
"Oh, I'm part
Superman
of the
foe, the
supporting
Kryptonite Man,
cast.
who
Look at
first
me!"
appeared
And
as
then
the
he turns out to
Kryptonite
be a
Kid in
Nazi,
Superboy
and
83,
and
later as the
basically he gets
Kryptonite Man
outfitted
in
with these like
Superman
kryptonite
299.
gauntlets
Later
and
version of
stuff,
the
and
Kryptonite Man who
and
appeared in
basically it was like a
Superman
big
Volume
deal. It was
2,
kind of like, "Oh
number
my God,
43
he's gonna
was
kill
also actually
Superman,
a
like
clone
for
of Superman,
reals."
kinda like how
So
the
it
Nuclear Man
kind
was
of
cloned
reminded
from
me
a
of
strand of
Doomsday and
Superman's
stuff like
hair.
that.
So it all
So
comes
I
full
felt
circle.
like I needed to
The
mention
Adam
that
Man in this film
in this
serial was treated much
because
like the other mystery
the
villains
title
we've
at
seen
least
so
was
far. He's
inspired
hidden
by
behind a mask and incredibly
the
easy
radio
to deduce
series.
who his true identity is.
And yeah, so here I just kind
You can
of
figure
put
out
in
by the
that. That's
first
still
episode that the
movie
Adam
maker
Man is
type
actually
stuff,
Lex
but
Luthor.
yeah,
If
I
the
had the
phony foreign
59-year-old
accent doesn't give it
spoilers
away,
because
I really
I
don't know
told
what
everybody
does.
that the
This
Adam
would
Man
mark
in
the
this
first
was
instance in
actually
which
Lex
Lex
Luthor,
Luthor was
and
portrayed
this
as
is
a racer.
Lyle Talbot again,
Not to
who
harp on this,
was
but you
Commissioner
may
Gordon,
recognize Lyle
and
Talbot from his
he was
role
also
as
in the
Commissioner Gordon in
Vigilante
Batman and
serial
Robin.
as
And if you keep your eyes peeled,
Emil
you might even notice
Hassan,
other actors in
the
similar
guy who owned all
situations
the
and
ruby red
locations reused from Batman and
pearls
Robin.
of blood.
I'm beginning to understand why, to many, Catsman
So
was synonymous
yeah, and
with
see
cheat.
there,
Lex Luthor
I
first
started
appeared
playing
in
with the
Action
idea
Comics
of
23 in 1940.
using
It is
dual
speculated
pictures,
that
you
thanks
know.
to some minor confusion
But
over
Movie
the
Maker,
design between Lex Luthor
I
and
really
the
had to
Ultra
push it to its limits
Luthor
because,
was
you know,
first
some of
depicted as
those
a bald man
files
in
that were
Superman
written for
10
it.
in
A good site to
1941.
go to is
While
Papa
Ultra
John's site
Humanite would
because
go
there's
on
a
to
lot of
possess
cool
the
stuff
body
that
of a
tell you how
female
to
form and
manipulate
eventually
stuff in
settle
Movie
later
Maker.
on the
But
form of
that
a
shot
giant
with
albino ape.
Superman knocking
The
off Adam
iconic
Man's head is
portrayal
kind of
of Lex
annoying to
Luthor
me
would
because,
continue as bald
you
from
know,
1941
if
to
I
the
had
present day.
known what I know now, when I was making it back then, I might have done that clip separately and kind of chopped
In his
off a
attempts to
little
blackmail the
end
city of
piece of it.
Metropolis, Luthor basically
But
invents the transporter from
I
Star
wasn't,
Trek, only
you
his
know,
main priority
super
is
expert
to
at the
scatter
time, and I'm always
Superman's
learning
atoms
things as
all
I go
over the
along
place.
while I'm making these, and that's kind of why I also decided to do this as well, because I figure, you know, sometimes I'm like, oh, I want to do that, and then I'm like, well, how the hell do you do that? So
When that
I kind of
doesn't
have
work,
to,
he
you know, look at
synthesizes
tutorials
kryptonite,
or
much
different
like
things
Batman
and figure
does at
out,
the close
you know,
of
how
Dark
stuff
Knight
works.
Returns. Luthor puts
And
together
later
the
on, I got
necessary
better at
ingredients,
doing
listing
dual
plutonium
shots,
and
you know,
radium
having
among them,
pictures
while
upon
the
pictures,
rest
whether
are
it's in
left
Movie Maker,
undefined.
and you know, now I
One
use
of Luthor's
Premiere a
henchmen
lot, and
then
it's a little
placed the
easier
kryptonite at a parade
to do
where
stuff like
Superman
that
is
if
the
I want
guest
to.
speaker. I can see parallels to
And
Gus
so,
Gorman and his
like, see
Parsons
that
depiction
too.
of
It's
the
kind of
unknown
like
element in
having the
Superman
dual
3.
shots.
In the
You know,
serial,
that
Superman
doesn't
passes
look
out
bad
from
or
kryptonite
anything, but
exposure and is
sometimes
taken
I
off in
like
an
them better
ambulance
when they're,
driven by more of Luthor's
you know,
henchmen.
horizontal
Superman is
instead of
placed in
side by
Luthor's
side
arch, the
like
Star
that.
Trek transporter,
And
remember?
sometimes they're better
His
side
last
by
words
side. I mean,
before
I
he's
guess it's all
trapped forever?
aesthetic, you know.
Years before Arnold or even Harrison Ford
I'll
fixing
be
Han
back.
Solo's line
Yeah,
in
so
Empire.
yeah,
So the Man of Steel
I
is
thought that was
trapped in
kind of
what Luthor
interesting.
calls the
And this is a
empty
lot
dune.
more like the Phantom
The basic
Zone as it's
concept of the empty
originally
dune is reminiscent of the Phantom Zone,
conceived,
which would
you
first
know, in the
appear
comic
Adventure
books.
Comics 283, almost 11 years later.
You know, I
There
know,
is
I know.
lots of
Everybody
filler
kind of thinks of
narrated by
Superman
Luthor
2,
that
and
describes
they, you know,
Superman's origin from the original
giant,
serial.
you know,
Reminds me of an
mirror
anime
that's
clip show.
floating through space,
Also, an
but
incredible amount of stock footage is used when chronicling the many disasters Superman must prevent in the course of the film. This stock footage at least adds to the scope of the super feats, even though it's a prime example of the penny pinching going on as well. Also,
Yay,
to keep
stock
away
footage.
from Superman's prying X-ray peepers, Luthor lines his mountain headquarters with lead.
you know, and this is the same deal, I think, that I mentioned with Batman, where you kind of you know, you've covered
variations of
Superman's
X-ray
first
and
appearance, and
supervision were
you've
used
covered
by
Lois
Superman
Lane
from
and different things like
1940
that,
on in
but you
Superman
sort of
4
covered
and
different things
Superman
like
11.
the progression
The
of
first
Superman's
time lead would
powers
be
or
used to block
lead
his gifts
lining
would
and
be
all
in
that kind of stuff,
1944 in
and
Action
when that
Comics
happened
69.
first,
Other
you know,
parallels
when
to
you're not
comics and
covering
films
Lex
include Luthor's
Luthor
turn as
or
a
other
quote-unquote
villains and stuff
legitimate
like that.
businessman,
But
much like
you
the
kind of
Man
have
of
luxury
Steel
with guys
reboot
like
of the 80s
Superman and
used by
Batman,
Superman the
and
Animated
probably
Series,
even
and
guys
Lois
like
and Clark,
Spider-Man
among
and X-Men,
others.
because they just have
Also,
so
the
much,
serial's
you know, where
climax
it's like,
features
oh, if you don't
Superman
cover it in the
facing
first
off against
serial,
atomic
you know, you don't
missiles
mention
fired
it,
by Luthor. Very
you know, in the
much like the
first
finale
TV
of
show or
Superman
whatever,
movie
you know,
in
you could always get to it
1978.
later on.
Even though
But
Jimmy and
the
Perry
stuff I
don't
get
get to
worried
do as
about
much
is,
this
you know,
time
oh,
around,
well,
with
how
Lois getting
often am
into
I going to
trouble
talk
taking up
about the
most of their
vigilante?
screen
You
time.
know, like
The rest
probably
of the
that one
time, it's
time, so
mostly
you want
just
to
Superman
cover it
fighting
as much as
Luthor,
you can
which
then.
is basically how it should be. Luthor declaring war against Superman.
So, I've declared
And I guess this
war,
doesn't
right?
exactly fit my motif, but I thought it made for a good ending, you know. I always like the scene, and it kind of, you know, Superman Luthor war, you know. Alright guys, see you later.